During our time in Alaska, we captured so many beautiful images. They couldn't all make it into the program. So in this episode, we wanted to show you some of the most beautiful scenes that you've ever seen. Welcome to Alaska. One of my favorite parts of producing TV4Dads is the people we meet. I want you to meet two friends of mine, John and Phil, and hear their stories.
I've known Phil probably now since 2000 when we came up, and at first, I thought that he was just, his personality was just exciting to me. But then I started to get to know him on a more personal level.
God's gifted me with a lot of different things, and being able to share with what we have and loving the people. And like this deal coming up here and being able to bring my four-wheelers and helping out, and because of the love that God has given us, and the love for my family. And I was fortunate enough to start being able to share and love with what God gave me when I was 19, 20 years old.
A friend of mine introduced me to him when he was working on his fourplex, and I liked the work. I didn't know anything about it. It was just kind of like maintenance stuff and refurbishing stuff. And anyways, he said, hey, if you want to come work, then I'll pay you. And so at the time, I think I was in 8th grade, and I thought that was cool, make some money. So that was the beginning of an incredible relationship. He taught me so much just about how to do maintenance, how to fix up apartments, how to do plumbing, how to do electrical, how to provide in that kind of a way, which I didn't really have before. Not only that, I started to see his heart. And the thing about Phil is that he's got a huge heart for just for people and for men, for boys.
And I love my boys that I teach. I was in the TV ministry for a long time at ABT and did that, but I come to a point where I had to make a decision as to whether I was going to stay in the TV ministry and give up my Sunday school teaching, or I was going to go to the Sunday school teaching only. And I finally just had to stay with the Sunday school teaching. I feel like I reach the kids better. That's more my ministry, is to be able to reach 10 and 11-year-old boys and share with them, and they listen to me. I think they learn a lot, and I've been able to see a lot of results as they grow. And then a lot of them get a little older, and then I've also helped with the wrestling team at our Christian school, and I'm able to work with a lot of the same boys in the wrestling, and work and show God that love again and work with them. It's just really been fantastic to be able to see the results that's coming from that.
I think he has a desire to try to help them see that life is more than what they see in front of them. It's about other people. And he doesn't give up. He didn't give up on me. He put so much time into my life, and something that I'll never ever forget. One of the things that he did for me was I needed a place to stay when I was done with college or getting done with college, and I talked to him, and right away he was like, "Yeah, man, come stay with me," which was huge because he didn't want me to pay for room and board. I think he saw it as another opportunity to just kind of share his life with me and to help me grow, although he had been doing that for years before.
Just like John here, that's here, John Butler, that's here with us. He came to work for me when he was in 8th grade, and we developed a great relationship, and he's been like a son to me ever since, and it's just fantastic to see what God has done in his life. And there's nothing more important than that, to watch these young men grow up and become God-fearing men. That's it. It really means so much to me.
So the love he has is something unique, and it's special, and it's something I'll never forget, and it's something that I will share with people that I encounter later on down the road in my life, which is huge. I pray that I could be the man that Phil is, because he's a role model that I believe is followed after God's word, and is just trying to pour his life out for other people. So I love you, and keep up the good work. You'll never know the impact you've had, but I'm telling you, it means the world to me. And I love you like a father. I do. So I love you.
And he promises you can't outgive God. And if we share that it's his. And that's what people forget. Everything we have is God's. And he allows us to have it and use it for him and for his situations and his things. And there's a lot of people wonder why God has blessed us so much. And it's because my wife and I have always given it, shared everything that he gives us, and we're willing to let anybody have it and use it. That's why we're here. And because God gave us to use these things. And my kids, I've tried to instill that in them, the love of people. There's nothing more important in this whole world than relationships. All this other stuff is nothing. Without love, you have nothing. And without the love of God and the love of people around you, nothing else matters in this world. Your relationships that count for everything, in my opinion.
So we have the scenic beauty of Alaska, we have the adventure, we have the great people we're meeting, but the whole trip would not be complete without food. Wonderful food. Lots of wonderful food. Hey, you've seen my #1 camera guy, Cody, on the show, but I wanted you to get to know him a little bit more personally. Listen to his story.
I grew up in a wonderful family. Grew up in Grand Rapids, Michigan. I absolutely love Michigan. I have 2 wonderful parents and 2 older siblings, 2 sisters. They're wonderful. When I was a little kid, they'd pinch me a lot, so I still have pinch marks on my arms. But to this day, we have a really cool friendship. We grew up Catholic. Went to a Catholic school when I was little. Wore the uniform every day to school. And then we moved to Rockford, just a city outside of Grand Rapids, where my dad built a house out there. And we lived there, and we kind of searched for a new church and found a really cool church out there. And that's when Jesus started becoming more real to me, instead of some guy that we just go to church to hear about. It became more of a relationship. And it was 9th grade when I asked Jesus into my heart. I grew up watching family videos with my dad, and he used to have the big, huge VHS player. You couldn't re-record over it. I always admired that, watching that, and then obviously like getting the whole family together, putting it on the TV and watching that. That was like the first kind of spark with video. And then just grabbing a camera by myself and just kind of practicing around. And I remember when I moved to Rockford, I met up with my friend, his name was Bert, and he had a video camera, and that's when things started to just expand immensely, like trying to be more creative with our shots, doing different videos like skateboarding videos, lighting off firecrackers on someone's porch and running away, kind of those kind of videos. And then in high school, I took a telecom class, and I was actually voted best videographer in the whole class, just because I really loved capturing something through a viewfinder that you can't really see through your eyes. As far as like depth and the way that you compose a shot, that was something that I really admired, and that went into college, and I went into broadcasting, and even teachers coming up to me and saying, hey, like, broadcasting isn't where you're supposed to be, you should go into film or something, because like your shots are way above everyone else's. And that's kind of how I got started with video, and just volunteering my time at my church at college, making videos left and right. So it was kind of funny. My youth minister at my church just called me up and said, hey, there's this guy who wants to give you a call and talk to you about video stuff. He's got an awesome plan that he wants to do. He's got a huge mind for video, and he's gonna give you a call. And I was like, oh, cool, awesome. And I kind of just said, okay, I mean, I get these calls all the time, like, hey, can you do my wedding? Can you do this and that? And I'm just like, all right, well, sure. And not even a day later, I get a call from the Brian D. Molitor, and I didn't really expect much, but he was like, hey, I'd love for you to come out to my house and meet my family. And so I said, okay. So I drove out to his house and met his wife and his daughter Jenny and him, and sat down. And at first I was pretty nervous. I was like, oh wow, this is an interesting interview, like the whole interview process was at first it was kind of scary, but it ended up being awesome, because I was just sitting in his living room with his family, just talking to him on a really awesome personal level. And he showed me one thing at TV4Dads, and I thought it was great. And I left, and I was like, well, shoot, this is a pretty cool experience. I mean, they shot the first season of TV4Dads in Montana. I was like, I've never been to Montana before. That'd be cool to shoot there. And got in my car, went home, and I don't even think 24 hours later, they're like, yeah, we want to give you a shot. We want to see what you can do. And I was like, cool. And Since then, just amazing opportunity to work on TV4Dads and Jenny Seeking the Extraordinary, going to some amazing places, filming TV4Dads in northern Michigan and now TV4Dads in Alaska, which is incredible, and obviously Puerto Rico. So the experiences and the travels, and just to capture that on video, it's pretty breathtaking as a videographer to do that kind of stuff. You know, I'm still a young guy, and I have so much to learn, so much to improve on. But I am so excited to walk in the footsteps of Jesus. I have so many things in my heart that I want to do. I want to be an incredible father someday. I want to treat my wife so well, and just being on TV4Dads. You know, I'm behind the camera, but I'm still listening. I'm still paying attention, and I'm learning some amazing things. You know, about integrity, about work ethic, about discipline. Those things don't pass my mind. Just to be able to worship God with a camera, just to be able to worship God in any way possible, those are things that I look forward to, because worship isn't just through singing, isn't just through, you know, going to church and lifting up your hands. It's every single thing that you do throughout your day, and I just aspire to do that every single day, just to be a better man.
I sure wish you could have all been with me on this trip. So to help you see what we saw and feel what we felt, let's take a real quick trip through Alaska. It's important to remember that TV4Dads is all about people. Dads, their sons, and their daughters. Keith Reid's story about his son is one that moves me deeply. I wanted to share it with you.
We listened to the last part of Brian's presentation, his teachings, and you guys asked, well, what do you think about one of these? And I had a little bit of trouble looking at them. Of course, they all apply, but I thought last night as I laid in my tent, and I think this is what I want to share. And it's a story. It's a challenge to boys that are becoming men, to fathers, to grandfathers. So what I wanted to talk to you about was, I have a daughter and 4 sons. My eldest son, Keith, born in 91, and out four-wheeling with his friends. In fact, he was about 40 miles off the road with one of the trucks you probably have seen on the show here. And he slipped and he fell into a river, couldn't get out. Age 18, he passed away. Nothing worse than getting a knock on your door from the state troopers at 6:30 in the morning on a Sunday. You know, my wife didn't even want to let him in. She knew something had happened, and they don't show up that way. He was out having fun with his buddies. He was enjoying the outdoors, the creation God had for us, and he was a great young man. He was a man's man. Christian kid. He played the bass in the youth group every Sunday. He was already going to church on his own. Made me feel really good. I knew right where he was. That is really the main comfort that I have in the whole thing is I know where he is. He's with our Father in heaven. The amount of things that the family went through and is still living with, because we miss him. He would have really enjoyed the time we've spent outdoors, and he'd have been here. You know, I got to feel like sometimes he is here with us, enjoying it. So here's the deal. I never had a problem taking him out of school to go do stuff, to enjoy the creation, to spend time together. And I guess the challenge is to fathers is to take that time with your kids. One of the things that we talked about had to do with taking time, you know, adventure, rest, and your family is incredibly important. You never know as a father, and it is the only time in my life as a father, and I verbally said, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I walked around the house saying, I don't know what to do. I looked at my wife, I don't know what to do. Dad's patched things up. Dad's makes things better. But in this case, we couldn't. The only thing that made things better was the police were there, and one of our very good friends, lady, a gal that we've gone to Guatemala with, and I say gal, but she's like a grandmother to everybody. She's a police chaplain, and we asked, is Mary Bolin on duty? And she was. She came over, we got around our coffee table, and we all prayed. And at that time, they hadn't found his body. So our prayer was really that they would find him so that we would have a conclusion to what was going on. And the next day, they did find him. So the challenge is to dads is you really, guys, you don't know how long you have with your kids. You don't know how long you have with your mothers, our mothers and fathers. So take that time. Look at each of those teachings. So many of those teachings are things that each of us try to instill in our kids, maybe not in an orderly fashion and haphazardly, but it's come together, and each of those items is an important block in leading those kids into being a man, and leading those kids into having a personal relationship with our Heavenly Father, leading them to salvation through Jesus Christ. Take that time as fathers, because I can tell you what, guys, if I did not know that my son was going to be in heaven, I would still have a very heavy heart about it. I don't know how somebody handles a situation out like that without having Christ in their life. So that's the challenge to dads. Grandfathers, you know, John Patton here has been a great example. He takes time with his grandkids. He is teaching his grandkids to be young men. And sometimes kids will listen to you, Grandpa and Grandma, a lot easier than they'll listen to Mom and Dad. But help that along. Help to nurture them. Teach them what you know, whether it's outdoors, whether it's the Bible, sitting down and reading the Bible with them. Take that time and do it. You don't know how much time you're going to have. And kids, I don't care how old you are, you know, any young person, you don't know how many days you have. You know, we talked about, oh, you know, I didn't get caught this time, or well, I'm not going to worry about it. One time won't hurt. Guys, you don't know if you got tomorrow. I can tell you, I was down on the Kenai River. I caught the biggest king I'd ever caught, over 70 pounds, on Saturday. I drove home, and on Sunday morning, the police were at my door, telling me that my son had passed away. So guys, you have to know where you're at all the time. Don't wait if you feel that calling on your heart. If you're sitting in church as a young person and you feel uncomfortable because God is calling your heart, don't wait, don't turn around, don't let it go another time. Look to Jesus Christ for everything. We couldn't have made it through as a family. And I think if you ask any one of my kids or my wife, it's brought us closer together, knowing that Jesus is in charge. There's a plan for everything. I don't know what the plan was. I don't know why he was taken early, but I gotta believe that Jesus had a plan, and that's all part of the plan. I accept that. Do I miss him? All the time. Do I miss him out here when we're out catching fish or four-wheeling in a rig that he built when he was 15 and 16? I miss him. But I know where he's at, and I know I'm gonna see him again, and that gives me peace.